Maybe like she's in a deep thought. Maybe in a deep thought.
Maybe she's in a deep thought, which was actually kind of an unusual way of representing women at the time, right? They're supposed to be seductresses, entertainers, not somebody who's intellectual, lost in a deep thought.
So she's contemplating her life.
She might be contemplating her life, right? Do you suppose it was easy to work at that bar?
No.
No. Okay. Has anybody bartended before?
It was a cocktail waitress.
It was a fun or horrible?
It was dependent on the night.
Depends on the night. Okay. That was interesting. I wanted to read you something as people really ponder upon this expression, and they've been writing about it from the day this painting was made. And have you guys heard of David Pagel? I think he taught at Otis at some point. He's a critic who writes for LA Times. And he looked at this and he saw it as a very contemporary statement about the state of the worker, of a female worker at the bar. And he identified with this. He said, you know, this is this terrible way of, you know, putting the women behind counters and exploiting them. And then there was a reader of LA Times who responded to it. It's only 2 paragraphs, but I'd like to read it back to you because it's really fun. So they write to LA Times, your review of the Manet exhibit at the Getty is simply insulting on so many levels to women, bar and restaurant workers, to painting in general. Offering neither art historical nor anecdotal evidence to back up an argument for the despondency he sees in a barmaid, the critic's simplistic projection of hamburger flipper psyche onto her displays a profound lack of understanding of the painting's context, and I'm certain the artist's intent. The Folies Bergere was the Studio 54 of the age, and for anyone working there, that job must have been the bomb, a sought-after gig. And unlike in a Hollywood nightclub, pouring drinks in a Parisian hot spot wouldn't be a temp job for aspiring actresses, rather a respected career, and it remains so across Europe. She's calm and cool the way any bartender is to a first-time customer, etc., etc. So I thought that was kind of fun, that people really disagree, and it really kind of makes us think about her as if she's in 2007. But of course we have to remember how was she seen in the 19th century. So let me talk to you a little bit more about what the women at the bar were like in the time of Folies Bergere. There's actually some brochures, so I'm going to ask one of you to maybe grab a few of them that we can pass out, because there are great illustrations there. And I want to show you a couple of things.
Is all the information you're talking about in here?
No, a lot of the information is not, but there's some great stuff in here. So if you actually look at the back, once you get one, this is a poster of Folies Bergere right in the back, and you'll see that this poster is actually dated to 1875. This painting was made in 1882. So this is a view of the bar well before Manet paints it. And one of the dominant things at the very bottom right corner, you'll see a gentleman conversing to a woman. And you'll see that she's leaning forward and that she's having a good old time with him. And if you open up, you'll see 2 popular cartoons from the newspapers. And again, the women always have these enticing cleavages that are pushed out at the customer, as if to say, perhaps it's not very much the drinks that are for sale, but the barmaid herself. Working women, whether it was selling hats, whether it was ballerinas, whether it was the laundresses or the barmaids, were always considered that they were available for consumption as well. And if you look at the way that he's looking at her here, and if you imagine the conversation that takes place, could you almost imagine him kind of trying to move in and her perhaps eliciting some of her favors? Look at her body, how it leans forward toward him. Now what's really bizarre is while that's happening in the reflection, it's not at all happening in the front. Here, like I said, she's disengaged, she's deep in her thought, she's perhaps even sad, and if you look at her eyes, she's making no eye contact with us, no eye contact with this potential customer. So perhaps this is a suggestion of how the contemporaries would have seen a barmaid, not very much necessarily how the barmaid would have seen herself. So when you told me that this is almost like two different women, or alter ego, or two personalities, kind of gave me chills thinking about how this woman is trying to assert herself in this modern world, perhaps very different from how people would have looked at her. Now, some people suggested that that gentleman is our reflection. But we would be standing here, and of course we would be dressed the way we are today, and most men at the salon would be wearing those hats, and in fact, look how many hats are in the background, just like that.